Hello, hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is your girl Mitzi, and this is Mitzi. Let's think about it. Today, we are thinking about walking on. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, that is the thinker. Can we walk on? How do we walk on? This is the topic. This is the thinker of today. And luckily, we have Stephen here who's going to really help us think about this in a whole new perspective. So, with that being said, thank you so much, Stephen, for coming on to my show, sharing your time and your perspective with me. You could be anywhere in the world right now, but right now you're with me. So I appreciate this. So let's just dive right in. When you hear the words walking on, what does that make you think about?
Makes me think about resilience. It makes me think about what I had to do and my family had to do in the wake of our tragedy. And I think it's what we all have to do. Because the reality is that we all suffer, Mitzi,
Yeah.
and no matter how it happens or when it happens or why it happens, um, you got to find a way to walk on because life only does move in one direction forward. We may feel stuck in time and in place, but the world keeps moving and you have no choice but to walk on.
Yes, yes, that is very true. And that is something that we all really have to grasp. You know what I mean? At some point in our lives, we really have to grasp that we are just moving on along with life. So, tell me, I know that your title of the book is Walk On. Do you mind telling me a little bit more about your book for the listeners who have not dived into it yet?
Yeah, so as you mentioned, the title of my book is Walk On, has multiple meanings, which I'll get into. But unfortunately, nearly 5 years ago, my 16-year-old son was killed in a tragic accident. He was a passenger in a vehicle that was operated recklessly, was speeding, went off the road and crashed. My son Jake died. Um, the driver was his girlfriend. She was a year older, teenager. She was a rising senior. Jake was a rising junior. And um, she was charged with reckless driving and driving under the influence, and it was devastating to me and my family. I struggled, as we all struggled mightily. Against my wife and son, Jake's little brother Liam did not want to live, and I found myself with all kinds of mixed emotions, anger and frustration and sadness and profound grief and rage against our circumstances. And I needed to do something with it. So I started to write, not to write a book, but just to have an outlet to put a lot of my feelings. And it started as a goodbye letter to Jake.
Mhm.
And over time, much time, because it took a long time just to begin to even put pen to paper and thoughts down because it hurt. Um, the writing changed, and it started to harken back to a tradition I had with my boys, where when Jake was 5 and he was old enough to read, and he was 5 years older than Liam, so the tradition continued with when Liam was old enough to read. I started writing morning messages on post-it sticky notes, and they were positive, inspirational messages about key character traits and values that I wanted to instill in my boys. And they were included quotes from known and unknown personalities and my own thoughts from time to time. And after Jake died, I stumbled upon some of those and I questioned the veracity in them. When you lose a child, your belief system is completely upended. You question everything, including your faith. Nothing feels safe anymore. And so when I started to look at those, I realized I needed to find out whether there was truth in them, whether it was just total bull I had shared with my boys and modeled as truth, or was there meaning in them? And I needed to set an example for Liam. And as broken as I was, I knew that as I was still a father and I had to find a way to still parent and help Liam through this. I was
Yeah.
struggling. I was 52 years old. How's a 11-year-old boy supposed to process this? So I dedicated the book to Liam. Um, and the title Walk On takes on a variety of different meanings in this case. We started a scholarship in the days following Jake's passing out in Pine Ridge, South Dakota, on the reservation where the Lakotas live. It's one of the poorest areas in the country. And Jake had taken a church mission trip out there the year before, and he came back deeply impacted and affected by that experience, recognizing the inequalities between how they were living, the kids there, and how he was living here. And he wanted to do something about it. He didn't get the chance to go back because of COVID. And so we created a college scholarship out there in Jake's name and honor and memory to help kids go to college from Red Cloud Indian School. A few months later, we started a second scholarship in partnership with the University of South Carolina Athletic Department and the football team specifically the head football coach, Shane Beamer, and it was titled the Jake Panus Walk-On Scholarship. And that was for a walk-on football player who had the same leadership characteristics and traits that Jake had, that he was gritty and tough, but also kind off the field and cared about others and cared about his community. And so in that sense, walk-on meant what we all know in the college sports landscape is it's a walk-on athlete is a student athlete who doesn't earn a scholarship or have a scholarship, but walks onto the team in hopes of one day earning that. So that started, and in May of 2022, Liam and I went out to South Dakota to award the first scholarships to two young Lakota women, graduated from Red Cloud Indian School, and the administrators from the school, the elder Lakotas, asked me, how did I arrive at naming the scholarship, the walk-on scholarship at South Carolina? And I told them about the definition, and their response was interesting. They said, wow, we have a different definition. And I said, really, what is it? And they said, well, in our culture, we believe that when someone dies, they walk on in their journey, that death is not a linear pathway. It's not the end point.
Yeah.
And I was really struck by that. And it felt like the universe was kind of bringing it all together. We quickly, at their suggestion, renamed that scholarship, also the Jake Panus Walk-On Scholarship. And as I said earlier, it's what I needed to do, what Liam and my wife, Kelly, Jake's mom, needed to do. We needed to find a way to walk on. So it became the obvious title for the book.
Yeah, yeah, I love that. I love the fact that you also provided different interpretations of walking on from different perspectives, because this is the whole point of my show, is seeing other people's perspectives and just absorbing it in and realizing, huh, maybe I should shift it. And you were able to shift that perspective in such a way, and so were the other people as well. And you were able to impact other people by this tragedy, that happened to your family. And I'm sorry about that, I mean, because like you
It also
said,
shows how connected we are, right? Like we
yes.
feel like
Oh my goodness.
we're
Yes.
often presented, whether through the media, movies, television, news, whatever, social media, that there's all these divisions and divides between us. But the reality is that we're actually way more connected than we ever would want to acknowledge. And when we do acknowledge that, we relate, we belong, and we become.
Oh, I love that. That is very true. And I have to ask you, I know you said earlier that when you were in your grieving process, you went down that spiral and it was really hard for you. Do you think that there was a way that somebody could have helped you along your grieving process during that time period, to make your grieving process differently, or do you think you handled it in the right way?
Well, I'll begin by saying there is no right way. There is only your way.
Okay.
Grief is very much an individual journey. Um, I was fortunate. My wife found us a grief therapist within a month, and he was a lifesaver. So I think that was critical. I'm not sure we would still be standing here today if we didn't have our therapist in our corner. We met with him 3 times a week for multiple years. We've become really good friends. He's still a friend. My wife still sees him. I see him occasionally now, not as obviously the same frequency. But you have to have someone like that in your corner, because you can't traverse this journey on your own. But the pathway is your own, and the timing's your own, and everyone is different, and men and women grieve differently.
Yeah.
There's a variety of factors, but the one thing I honor now, and kind of looking back at it again, I don't remember much of year one. It was a zombie-like experience. It's pure
Yeah.
survival. Is that you the obvious things? You're going to be depressed. You're going to be down. You're going to want to not get out of bed. You're not going to want to not change out of your pajamas or even shower for days. It's okay. It's okay to feel down. It's okay to feel depressed. It's okay to not be okay. Those are all natural feelings, even though they don't feel like it. Um, your body is in a traumatic state of shock, complete and utter disbelief. We had no chance at any kind of closure. This happened like that. We found out from a phone call from a doctor. I'm sorry, he said, I just pronounced your son dead. That's how we found out. And it's so jarring and life altering, and everything in your world immediately changes, and you become a different person, and a person that learns that vulnerability is strength, and you learn to reach out and ask for help. You learn to lean on others. You learn to see that what matters most in life isn't the big details like the job, the car, the bonus, the vacations, the whatever. It's relationships. It's the people
Yeah.
in your life, the family, the friends, the people that are stick by you through thick and thin. And it's those connections that matter most. And it's the little things, it's the
Yeah.
little things that I miss about Jake that I crave and desperately want back. But those are the moments you remember, and those are the moments that I cling to and have, thankfully, in my brain to harken back to and to savor.
Yeah, yeah, I love that because it's that reframe. You know what I mean? It's the fact that you have to know that, okay, what you're going through is normal, what you're going through is okay. How I'm processing it is fine. But I'm also knowing that I have to continue on because you have your son. And you said that your son was having a hard time dealing with his brother's passing. I mean, how could he not? You know what I mean? He known him all his life. So for you
Yeah.
seeing that, I mean, how did you manage seeing your son grieve his brother's death?
It was hard. It was hard to see both him and Kelly struggle mightily. At one point, 3, 4 months in, I asked Liam because I looked at him and I was like, man, I am absolutely crushed. I'm 52 years old. I'm a grown man, an adult. I can't even process this and I'm struggling coping with it. How's an 11-year-old boy supposed to handle it? So I asked him to
Yeah.
run upstairs and get his buck knife and to meet me outside. And he did. And we walked across our property over to an old church tree. And I asked him to carve off a swath of bark from the tree. And he did. He kind of etched out like a rectangular shape. And he looked at me and he said, "Now what, Dad?" And I said, "Now we're gonna watch this tree regrow new bark and heal. And it's going to be different. I'm not going to lie to you. It's going to be a different color, could be a different texture, may not fully cover the scar. And just like this tree, we're going to do the same. Our hearts are going to do the same. We're going to regrow the parts that have been shattered and destroyed. And
Yeah.
I'm not going to lie to you, we're never going to be the same two people, Liam. But we are going to walk out of this hell together, and our hearts are going to regrow and get restitched, and we're going to find a way to find joy again. And it's going to take a lot of time. It's going to take a lot of effort and patience and love and support, but we're going to do it. And I wanted him to believe, not in as much as in me, but as in himself.
Yeah.
We would do it, and we were capable of it.
Yeah, and I think it also showed that moment was that you're not going through this alone. You know what I mean? And when you
Yeah,
have that unity in pain, it makes it makes it go through a lot better. You know what I mean? It makes you realize that you're not alone through this. You're not isolated
yeah,
because oh my goodness, to go through it alone is just a traumatic feeling. But to know that you're not going through it alone, you can he can see, okay, well, Dad's having a hard day today. I'm having a hard day today. It's okay. Just be a little bit more patient with yourself, but have a little bit more compassion with yourself. But when you see somebody else pushing through, then it makes you want to push through too, you know? So that's a beautiful story and that's a beautiful moment that you had with your son because at least you can say that we did it together. You did it with your wife. You did it with your family. All of you guys were grieving together. All of you guys had to learn to relive life without someone that you had in your life since the day they were born. Oh my goodness. I couldn't imagine one of my sons dying. You know what I mean? That is it puts like a lump in my throat. So whenever I speak to a parent that has lost their child and they have able to go through the stages of grief, go through the questions to God and question why he done such a thing, to still have that faith, to still have that momentum to keep going. I mean, it just shows that time truly does heal when you allow your perspective to evolve with time. You know what I mean? Because sometimes time doesn't heal all wounds if you don't allow your perspective to shift with time. You know what I mean? You can get stuck and
yeah.
you can stay at a certain point, you know. So I have to ask you, if you can tell your younger self something, what would be that advice? What would you tell your younger self?
To savor every moment and not take anyone or anything in life for granted. We all feel
Mm,
like tomorrow's going to happen. We plan things out in our lives, right? For next week, next month, next year. Live more in the moment and to
yeah.
really find the joy in each moment because nothing is guaranteed.
Mm,
And I will say
exactly.
this about your comment about feeling alone. It's so true. When something happens like this, again, grief comes in many forms. Let me say that. Like, it's not just someone dying. You could live in LA and your house could burn down from a fire. You could live in middle America and a tornado could rip it apart. You could have a financial crisis. You could lose your job. You could lose your wife. to separation or divorce and your family split. You could be diagnosed with a fatal health condition or develop an
Yes.
addiction. Grief comes in many forms and shapes and sizes. And when it does hit us, we always feel alone in our circumstances. But that's just it. We're not alone. And
Yeah.
when you verbalize it and when you share it with somebody else, that's when you realize you're not alone. Someone else can relate to it. And more importantly, someone else can help you with it.
Exactly. And I think it just brings us back to what you were saying earlier, is that we're united, you know what I mean, as human beings. As human beings, we have relations, situations that make us relatable, you know what I mean, that brings us to have that unity back. And if we stay quiet with that information, with our experience, then we're just doing ourselves that harm and we're not helping other people realize like you're not alone in this pain. You're not alone in this journey. You're not alone in your experience. And the fact that those people were able to provide you a different insight into how they see death, oh my goodness, that's a beautiful thing because it allows you to realize like, huh, maybe it's not the end. You know what I mean? Maybe there is, and it gives people hope again. You know what I mean? It gives people something to look forward to. So yes, I absolutely believe that is something beautiful. So I have to ask you, what are three things that you're grateful for?
Well, I'm grateful for my family, Kelly and Liam, and we now have a daughter,
Oh,
April.
nice.
I have to us through the foster system, and it's just amazing. It's not often that parents who lose a child then have another child arrive to them. She saved my wife's life, and we saved April's life. So much gratitude for that. Gratitude. I'm grateful for life, right?
Yeah.
For having the chance to carry Jake's legacy onward. Jake
Yeah.
was a very special, unique human being for 16 years of age. He was very mature beyond his years, and he had a superpower that allowed him to lift everybody up he encountered. He spread joy and laughter and made people better. And so through the scholarships, and we're doing that. And I see Jake's love and light continue to shine upon many people on this planet. And
Yeah.
that's meaningful. And I have great gratitude for that. Um, and then I'm just grateful for all the people that supported us along the way and got us back to where we are today, which is standing and walking on. Because again, it's a road you can't walk alone. I always joke and say, I've never seen anybody climb a mountain by themselves because they truly didn't, right? They may have physically or literally done that, but to get there, it took a lot of people to motivate, inspire, um, comfort, and it takes a
Exactly.
lot of people to get us wherever we're going, and we need to lean on each other. And we're here to lift each other up, love each other, and support one another.
Oh, I love that analogy because if you really, really think about that, and if you allow yourself to really dive into that analogy of nobody climbs up a mountain alone, they don't. They really don't because the idea, oh, I'm going to do it alone. Okay. But what do you need? You need equipment. How did you get that equipment? From somebody who has experience, who's somebody
Yeah,
who went through something, who realized, oh, this will work better here. This will do better here. If you use it in this manner, this will help you along your journey. There is other people who already experienced something that has provided you a tool to help you get to your goal of climbing that mountain. And that is what life is. You know what I mean? When we converse, when we have these deep conversations, we realize that we're not alone. We didn't go through this alone. Somebody else has already experienced this, or somebody's experienced this in the moment, and they're looking for that way out. They're looking for that light, that knowledge that they're not alone in this experience. So yes, I absolutely love that because it allows people to really think deeper. And that's the whole point, is to think deeply, to think within yourself and to think outside of yourself too, because sometimes we could get so stuck within our minds and repeat things in our minds that have no more value because it's a different stage. And when you're grieving, it's a different stage. So yes, I love that. I
yeah.
absolutely love that.
And as you said, the often people look outside externally for answers, but the answers are come from within.
Yeah.
And ultimately, it's your mindset, right? It's the quality of
Yes.
your mindset that architects the quality of your life. And so being positive versus being negative, seeing hope, you might feel helpless, but still holding on to hope.
Yeah.
It's very powerful. It's transformational. And without that, it's almost impossible to walk on.
There you go. I love that. Very good. See, ladies and gentlemen, this is the good stuff. This is the stuff that we need to be thinking about, right? So it's sad to know that the time is catching up to us, but what can be some lasting words of wisdom that you can leave us off with to keep on thinking? Even though, let's be honest, the whole entire conversation can give us great insight to keep on thinking, but what can be some lasting words?
Well, Marcus Aeneas Seneca said, there's a human being, there's an opportunity for kindness. So I'll leave you with that.
Oh, I love that. I love that a lot. Thank you so much, Stephen, for this
Thank you, Mitzi.
conversation, for this time. This has really brought a lot for myself, and I'm pretty sure for the listeners out there who are going to be listening and who are listening to this as well. And if, ladies and gentlemen, if you want to know more about Stephen and his book and all that he has to offer the world, because why would you not, right? Why would you not? Please go check him out. Access to his website and the link to, if you're listening audio, it's right there. They'll hit link to his websites right there. If you're listening on YouTube, links right there too. And if you're on my website, just click on his photo, boop, right there, and it goes directly to his website so that you can continue on thinking and so that you can really value your life differently, value others' lives differently. And if you're grieving, just know that you're not alone. You have access to his book just so that you can continue on thinking. Because isn't that the point? It is to always keep thinking, y'all. Bye.